Now, this is the summary of the drama that happened in Nigerian airline for the past few weeks between KWAM 1 and KWAM 2. Now, let me explain. Now, for those who are wondering that which one is KWAM 1 and KWAM 2, KWAM 1 is the popular Nigerian film musician from the southwest of Nigeria. The drama between him and ValueJet is KWAM 1. Now, KWAM 2 is between Comfort, Emmanson, and Ibom Air. Now, let us start with KWAM 1. So, you already know how KWAM 1 happened. KWAM 1 refused to identify the content in his flask when the cabin crew, the air hostess, asked him what is the content in his flask, or also volunteered to take it from him and keep it for him when he landed, give it back to him. But because of Bigmarism syndrome, if you don't know what is Bigmarism syndrome happens to most Nigerians who have IG's number, president number, senator's number, especially when they have money and were connected. So they developed this syndrome called Bigmarism syndrome. So Wasiu Ayinde, which is KWAM 1, developed Bigmarism syndrome and refused to identify the content of his flask or also to hand it over to them, which prompted the captain and the cabin crew to ask him to highlight or come down from the plane because they can't fly him if he cannot identify what is in his flask or give it to them. So he came down and also held the plane hostage and refused the plane to go, which also made the pilot move the plane, which almost ended the life of KWAM 1. But thank God that did not happen. So because of that, the airline operators of Nigeria placed 6 months ban on KWAM 1, which is K1 or whatever one you call him, Wasiu Ayinde. 6 months flight ban, say they no go carry on for any plane in Nigeria for 6 months. And the Minister of Aviation, Festus KM, also re-emphasized on it that any airline that carried KWAM 1 will be suspended and they will lose their license. And not just that, the airline operators of Nigeria withdrew the license of the pilot also. So that was KWAM 1. So the update in KWAM 1 is that 6-month ban they placed on KWAM 1 has now been reduced to 1 month, and KWAM 1 has also been recommended to be an ambassador of good behavior in Nigerian aviation industry by Airline Operation of Nigeria. So they won't recommend them for ambassador of good behavior because say in what you do no good. Now come and be ambassador of good behavior so that you go behave well later. And the pilot's license will be returned after 1 month. Now let's move to KWAM 2, which is Comfort, Emmanson, and Ibom Air. What really happened? Now, according to the information, on the 11th of August 2025, Comfort, Emmanson boarded an Ibom Air from Uyo to Lagos. So in preparation for the flight to take off, the air hostess approached Comfort Emmanson to off her phone. She told them that she already put it in airplane mode, but the air hostess insisted that she will off it. Along the way, there was a confrontation which led to, a lot of disagreements and all that. Well, the flight took off and landed in Lagos. When they landed in Lagos, but the air hostess refused her from coming down, which now resulted to the agitation because she was prevented from coming down the plane, which along the line she provoked, and they had to come carry her, force her along the line. They tore her clothes, and her nakedness made it to social media. First of all, this air hostess or air distress, whichever one you call her, she is not professional. She does not have the skills of human management and conflict management. And secondly, with eyewitness and what eyewitness said, they said she was authoritative. I can tell you that she has symptoms of Bigmarism syndrome in her. I already explained that. Let's move forward. So when Comfort Emmanson issue made it to social media and started trending, everybody was blaming Emmanson that she did this, she did that, and nobody heard her own part of the story until people started coming out to say their own part, stating that air hostess was at fault, they were too authoritative, they were not professional in their approach, that Comfort was even more calm in the plane until they now triggered her and started making her to start being agitated. And also the manner which they highlighted her from the plane would have been done peacefully. In fact, they would have just allowed her come down and let the authority arrest her in a very civil way and not dragging her like a criminal. So from that airport, Comfort was arrested and taken into custody. In fact, she was transferred to Kirikiri. There was a court order to remind her that same day. Now, to tell you how fast the judiciary system can corruptly work for some people, because it seems that the judiciary system in Nigeria do not work on law but work on order. Someone gave order that Comfort Emmanson should be reminded in Kirikiri. Now, this whole thing happened within 24 hours. She was reminded in Kirikiri. The Air Operation of Nigeria banned her for life. Ibom Air also placed a life ban on her, meaning for life she no go fly in Nigeria. And she was reminded in Kirikiri. Now, remember, Comfort Emmanson's situation is not different from KWAM 1 situation. In fact, KWAM 1 situation is even worse than KWAM 2 situation, which is Comfort situation, because KWAM 1 held the plane hostage, said the plane no go move. But Kwan 2, which is Comfort, did not stop the plane from moving. In fact, they've landed before the whole issue happened. So nobody's life was at risk. Everybody has highlighted from the plane. In fact, they refused Comfort from highlighting from the plane. They made her sit down till everybody highlighted. She was the last person to come down to tell you that the air hostess of Ibom Air, they tried to manipulate the story in their favor to make Comfort look like the evil girl. Now, let's continue. Now, when people who were in that plane started speaking out, that is when the authority started saying that, oh, they're not going to win this race. That is when they now finally dropped the charges against Comfort and released her from Kirikiri. In fact, she has also been recommended as an ambassador for good behavior on Nigerian airspace. Now, there is something we need to understand as Nigerians. Dear Nigerians, we do not stand in for each other. Wherever you see that injustice is happening, don't walk away, stand and fight for it. Now, in that Ibom Air, a lot of people coming out to say, no, Comfort was not her fault. It was the air hostess. What did you do in that airline? What did you do in that plane? All of you left and came down. And later, I started talking on social media. You should have stood and speak that day. You should have spoken out. Comfort wouldn't have been disgraced like that. Comfort wouldn't have been taken to the Kirikiri. In fact, the air hostess would have been disgraced and brought to justice. But guess what? All of them highlights go. Come social media, come they say, I was there. Your comment later is invalid as long as Comfort has already gone to Kirikiri. The young girl has been disgraced online. Now, one of the funny parts of this whole situation is when Comfort was released from Kirikiri and some of her friends are covering her face. I don't understand. This is somebody, her face is already everywhere and you're covering her face. I don't know. Anyway, maybe they are just trying to be protective of their friend. But guess what? That Ibom air hostess or whatever cabin crew, all of them should be questioned and investigated because the tearing of Comfort's clothes was intentional. If you watch that video, slow it down, you will see the way one lady drew the clothes and tore it. They intentionally tore it because she would have been brought down from that plane peacefully. And this is a lesson to other ladies. Please, if you are boarding Nigerian air, anywhere you're going, please, anywhere you're going, dress decent. Dress decent because you don't know what might happen. It might not be fight. It might not be Kwan 1, Kwan 2, or Kwan 3. It can be another thing that will result to you taking it to your heel. And you are not properly dressed. Dress well. Dress decent for your own good. Now, when Dele Farotimi wrote a book about Nigeria and its criminal justice system, you'll be wondering why. This is why. Comfort was taken to Kirikiri by order. Comfort was released from Kirikiri by order. The charges were dropped by order. So who is ordering? So is Nigerian judiciary system receiving order or doing by law? I ask again. So tell me, did I mix anything in Kwan 1 and Kwan 2? If I miss, please tell me in the comment section. But if I don't miss, please share this video and let it go viral. And also tag anybody that needs to know this information so that more people can see and listen. Anyway, before you do that, do not forget to
enjoy your weekend.